Hello there and a very good morning. This is the Breakfast Rundown with me, Zulfiq Farzan, where we discuss some of the key developments that took place overnight in Sri Lanka and also developments taking place in the Middle East. So let's dive into the details first with Sri Lanka. A high-level International Monetary Fund delegation is in Sri Lanka to engage with the government of the newly elected President Anura Kumara Dissanayake. Now, the IMF delegation is led by Dr. Peter Brewer, Senior Mission Chief of the IMF mission, and then Dr. Sarwat Jahan, Resident Representative, and Manavi Abewikrama, an economist. Now, according to the President's Media Division, the primary objective of the IMF delegation's visit to Sri Lanka is to initiate discussions on the progress of the IMF program and necessary steps towards the release of the fourth tranche of the $2.9 billion extended fund facility. The meeting held at the President's office featured cordial discussions between the IMF delegation and economic team of the new government. Now, both parties had reviewed the program and outlined the way forward for future collaboration. Now, Sri Lanka's delegation was represented by the Economic Policy Council of the new government, featuring Dr. Harshana Surya Peruma, Professor Anil Jayanta, Sunil Handunetti, Professor Sita Bandara Ranatunga, Sunil Gamage, Dumida Hulangamwa, Dr. Nandasiri Kihimbiab Hetty, Professor Oji Daratna Banda, and Amarasena Atukorala. Now, this meeting, according to the President's Media Division, marks a crucial step in reinforcing Sri Lanka's commitment to economic stability and securing continued support from the IMF. On the 14th of November, Sri Lankans will once again head to polls, this time to elect parliamentary representatives. Now, the parliament has 225 members. Now, for the parliamentary election, political parties as well as independent groups can contest. According to the country's election commission, 58 independent groups have already placed their security deposits to contest the parliamentary election. Now, the highest number of independent groups that placed their deposits are from the Batticaloa, Jaffna, Digamarula and Colombo electoral districts. Now, the accepting of nominations for the parliamentary election will begin tomorrow, and nominations can be submitted until noon on the 11th of October. Now, this year, the Gampaha district will elect 19 members to parliament, an increase from 18 back in 2020. Colombo will elect 19 members in the previous election, and this time around they will elect 18 members. Kalutara will see an increase in its representation, electing 11 members, while Jaffna will see a decrease, electing 6. However, there are no changes in the number of members elected from the other districts. They are Ratnapura will elect 11 members, Kandy 12 members, and Gaul, Anuradhapura, Badulla and Kegaul 9 members each. Nuwara and Puttalam will elect 8 parliamentary members each. The Matara, Digamarula and Hambantota districts will each elect 7 members, while the Wani and Monaragala districts will elect 6 members each, and the Matale, Polonnaruwa and Batticaloa districts will elect 5 members each. At the same time, the accepting of applications for the postal voting process for the 2024 parliamentary elections is underway. Election Commissioner General Saman Srivatnayaka has emphasized that accepting of applications will continue until the 8th of October. The 2024 parliamentary election will take place on the 14th of November. At the same time, the National Audit Office has commenced an investigation into the visa issues that were reported over the past few months. Additional Auditor General WPC Wickramaratne said that the audit report is expected to be completed by the time the new parliament convenes. That's the new parliament is expected to convene on the 21st of November. That's almost a week after the parliamentary elections. Now, additionally, the Auditor General has mentioned that the audit report on the procurement process for issuing e-passports is also being finalized concurrently. He further noted that the audit reports will include details on the expenses incurred following the outsourcing of the visa issuance process to an Indian company. Now, with regard to development projects, the Road Development Authority has said that the construction of the Kadawatha Mirigama section of the Central Expressway will take approximately another 2.5 years to complete. Now, a senior official from the project has said that the construction work was halted during the period of the previous government after it entered into an agreement with the IMF on an extended fund facility. He also said that now discussions are underway to source funds for the completion of the project. Now, at the same time, construction of the Potuhara Rambukkana section of the expressway is underway and is expected to be opened within the next few months. Now, coming back to a story on visas, the Tourism Development Authority has announced that the cabinet decision to waive tourist visa fees for 39 countries will be reinstated as soon as possible. Its chairman Priyantha Fernando has said that the issuance of the relevant Gazette notification was delayed due to the dissolution of the Parliament. Now, he also said they're exploring ways on how the President can reissue the Gazette so that this decision can be reinstated. He highlighted that the suspension of the Electronic Travel Authorization System, or the ETA, resulted in an estimated loss of nearly $100 million to the country over the past few months. After the new government was elected, several key appointments were made to top positions in government institutions. Now, one of those positions is the post of Defence Secretary. The Defence Secretary is Air Vice Marshal Sampath Thuyakonta, a retired Air Force officer. Now, the Chief of Defence Staff and the commanders of the three armed forces and the Acting Inspector General of Police called on the Defence Secretary yesterday at the Defence Headquarters. Now, Chief of Defence Staff General Shavendra Silva, Commander of the Sri Lanka Army Lieutenant General Vikram Liyanage, Commander of the Air Force Air Marshal Udeni Rajapaksa, and Acting Inspector General of Police Senior DIG Priyantha Vivasuvya, Commander of the Navy Vice Admiral Priyantha Pereira, called on the Defence Secretary at the Defence Ministry headquarters in Kotte on separate occasions. Now, Defence Secretary AVM Thuyakonta had cordial discussions with the Defence top brass and the Acting IGP during the meetings. Now, this is the first official visit by these senior military officers with the Defence Secretary after retired Air Vice Marshal Sampath Thuyakonta took up the position of Defence Secretary. Now, the Middle East is a hype of activity. There is tensions going up in the Middle East. Just to give a recap, since last year, Israel has been bombarding the Gaza enclave following an attack by Hamas. Now, since last year, more than 41,000 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli airstrikes and bombardments in the besieged enclave of Gaza. As a result, Israel also thereafter attacked Hezbollah positions in Lebanon. And thereafter, just 24 hours ago, Iran launched a massive strike using its missiles on targeted Israeli infrastructure positions. Now, Sri Lanka's ambassador to Israel, Nimal Bandara, has said that flights between Sri Lanka and Israel have been suspended until the 7th of October. Now, this decision follows the Israeli government's decision to suspend operations from the Tel Aviv airport. The embassy has advised individuals who had planned to travel between Sri Lanka and Israel until October 7th to reschedule their travel plans and their flights. Ambassador Bandara assured that all Sri Lankans currently in Israel are safe. He mentioned that preparations are in place to handle any potential emergency situations that may arise. The Israeli government has warned its citizens to take all necessary precautions and to minimize travel and stay indoors as much as possible during this volatile period. In anticipation of increased attacks, underground shelters, hospitals and emergency ambulance services have been ensured to ensure public safety in the Israeli region. As the conflict grows, a total of 6 people have been killed and 8 wounded in Israeli airstrikes targeting central Beirut just a few hours ago. Another 46 people were killed and 85 injured in Israeli attacks across Lebanon in the past 24 hours. Now, this is according to the Lebanese Health Ministry. Now, Israel's military said on Wednesday that 8 soldiers were killed in intense fighting with Hezbollah fighters in southern Lebanon 3 days after it launched a ground assault. Now, the update on the ongoing raids came almost a year after Israel launched its war against Hamas in the Gaza Strip. In retaliation for that, Iran-backed groups, that's Hezbollah, went on an attack on Israeli targets as well. Now, Iran, just 24 hours ago, fired a barrage of ballistic missiles at Israel, saying that the attack was in response to the recent killings of Hamas, Hezbollah and IRGC core leaders. Now, Israel has promised to retaliate, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warning Tehran that it made a big mistake and will pay for it. However, Islam's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or the IRGC, said the missile attack on Israel was a response to the killing of Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah and IRGC commander Abbas Nilfushan, as well as the Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh earlier this year. IRGC said that it launched tens of missiles at Israel, and that if Israel retaliated, Tehran's response would be more crushing and ruinous. Iran state television said 80% of the missiles launched at Israel hit their targets. The firing of missiles came after Israeli troops launched a ground raid into Lebanon, in the biggest escalation of regional warfare since fighting erupted in Gaza last October. At the same time, more than 41,000 Palestinians have been killed by Israelis in their ground raids. Now, at the same time, Israel's foreign minister has declared United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres persona non grata and barred him from entering the country. Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz on Wednesday accused Guterres of failing to unequivocally condemn Iran's missile attack on Israel. Israel has persistently complained over the UN's approach throughout its year-long war in Gaza. Now, the attack came in response to Guterres' statement regarding Iran's missile barrage. Now, shortly after Israel's attack on the UN Secretary General, Guterres condemned the escalation of violence in the region but made no mention of Iran. The UN chief wrote on Tuesday evening, "I condemn the broadening of the Middle East conflict with escalation after escalation. This must stop. We must absolutely need a ceasefire." Those were the words of the UN Secretary General. Well, sports fans and cricket fans are up for a treat starting today. The ICC Women's T20 World Cup 2024 will kick off in style today, and the Captain's Day also took center stage just a few hours ago. Now, the 10 captains have gathered to mark the opening of the ICC Women's T20 World Cup 2024. The tournament, which is being held in the UAE, gets underway on Thursday, that's today, when host nation Bangladesh faces Scotland at the Sharjah Cricket Stadium. Now, all these matches will be broadcast live on TV1, owned by MTV Channels Private Limited, which covers the country's 3 main languages. This year's tournament, hosted in the UAE, features 10 teams, and the initial round of matches will be played in 2 groups. Group A includes Australia, along with India, New Zealand, Pakistan and Sri Lanka. Group B features Bangladesh, England, Scotland, South Africa and West Indies. Now, the opening match of the tournament will see Bangladesh, led by Nigar Sultana, facing Scotland, captained by Catherine Bryce. This match is scheduled to start at 3:30 p.m. Sri Lankan time in Sharjah. The second match of the day is a treat for Sri Lankan cricket fans, as Sri Lanka, led by powerhouse Chamari Atapattu, will play against Pakistan. Pakistan will be captained by Fatima Sana. Now, this match is set to begin at 7:30 p.m. Sri Lankan time. Now, Chamari Atapattu has expressed her confidence in her young team, stating that they aim to maintain the skills and performance they have shown in recent months. Well, if you are looking to a place to watch the matches, well, look no further. All these matches will be broadcast live on TV1. Well, we wish our Sri Lankan women's cricket team all the very best and hope they can bring the cup to Sri Lanka and bring pride and glory back to the nation. And with that, we wrap up this edition's Breakfast Rundown. With me, Zulfiq Farzan. Until I meet you again tomorrow morning, take care and stay safe.